This is the new Roku Express, a $30 streaming player from Roku for folks who just want to occasionally stream content on their 1080p TVs. Now, this is also a new streaming player called the Roku Ultra. This is priced at $130 and it delivers 4K content, supports HDR, and has a ton of other features that we'll talk about in a bit. With $100 separating these two players, we're about to see if the $30 Express is a great value, whether spending more money on the Ultra is a good investment, or if you should be looking somewhere else altogether different.
Toshiba, now offering OCZ products that are awesome and affordable like the RD400, TR150, and VT180 that are backed by advanced warranty program, now stronger than ever under Toshiba.
So let's look at the Roku Express first, since it's quite basic and meant to be a step up from the typical slow, basic interface that you get with many smart TVs these days. Within the box, you get the streaming player itself, which has a compact form factor, a remote, a power adapter for the player, a short HDMI cable, and a micro USB cable to power the player. Roku is targeting the Express as a simple all-in-one streaming solution that's affordable and easy to use, and I agree with them. The setup process was just as simple as plugging in the HDMI and USB cable to your TV. Mind you, if your TV lacks a standalone USB port, this is where the included power adapter comes into play. If you happen to own an older TV that doesn't accept HDMI, Roku happily sells the Express Plus for $40 that works with either HDMI or composite. After going through the setup process of connecting the device to your Wi-Fi network and creating a Roku account, you'll be directed straight to the home screen where Roku has pre-installed apps like YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, and Google Play Movies. If you want to expand the channel selection, you can browse through the channel store to find your interests. Roku says that there's access to more than 2,500 free or paid streaming channels here in Canada, including 100,000 movies and TV episodes. There's a much larger selection of options for people who live south of the border. Within the user interface, there's also a convenient search bar where you can easily look for movies, actors, TV shows, you name it. And it works out pretty well. If you have a Netflix subscription and if the movie you're looking for is available on that platform, you have the option to be directed to the channel and your movie starts playing right away. The network card inside the player only detects 2.4 GHz bands, so that may or may not affect the streaming performance. I didn't experience buffer delays or playback lag when watching movies, but it is something to be aware of. The performance is decent, and it is to be expected given the price of the player. Channel load times are quite slow, and navigating through the UI is a bit clunky, especially if you are entering characters on the search bar, which brings me to my next point, the remote. It's a simple layout with a back and home button at the top. Navigating buttons are right below, followed by previous and start buttons that allows you to rate and delete a certain channel. Play, pause, skip, and backward buttons are located right beneath. You'll also find quick access buttons to Netflix, Spotify, Google Play Movies, and TED Talks. The lack of volume control buttons is disappointing, and you'll also have to make sure to point the remote directly to the player for the best control experience. Considering the small form factor of the Express and the price tag on top of that, these are some of the quirks that you'll have to work with. You can use your phone to control the Express too. All you have to do is download the Roku app that's available for both Android and iOS. If your player is connected to the same Wi-Fi network as your phone, the app will automatically detect the player and you're set. I'll be honest with you, the only time I use my phone is when I'm searching for movies or TV shows, because you can use your phone's keyboard to perform the search, which is a lot faster than punching characters with the standard remote control. There's also an exclusive feature called private listening, which allows you to plug earbuds or headphones into your mobile device and listen privately to the audio rather than your surround speakers, and it worked great. You can also share photos, music, and videos from your phone to the TV. It's not the best experience when compared against Google's Chromecast, which allows you to screen share your phone to the TV, along with continuous app support that keeps coming into the ecosystem. But for streaming content in general, I think you'll be fine using the Express. If you want the absolute best experience from a Roku device, you might want to check out the new Ultra. But before getting too far into this thing, let's do an unboxing to see what we get. First up, we have the unit itself, and after peeling off the plastic goodness, I'm going to let it aside and move on to the next part, accessories. You get a remote controller, a pair of headphones along with complementing ear tips, 2 batteries to power the remote, and the power adapter for the player. I'm disappointed in the fact that they didn't include an HDMI cable like they did with the much less expensive Express. I mean, really? The Ultra is Roku's flagship streaming player, and the specs back that up. It features a quad-core processor to process UHD content at 60 Hz, dual-band wireless connectivity, a dedicated Ethernet port, a microSD card slot for storage expansion, an optical audio out for soundbars and receivers, and a USB port that allows you to play back local content from an external hard drive or flash drive, plus it natively supports H.264 and 265 codecs, which is a nice touch. The real difference between the Express and the Ultra is the performance, and that's the first thing I noticed when playing around with the Ultra. Navigating through the UI is super smooth, movies and TV shows start playing instantly thanks to the dual band chip inside the player. What you're getting here is a responsive system, and that is to be expected given the $130 price point. A few other features you get is a voice search assistant that can be used to search for actors, movies, and TV shows, but it doesn't work on YouTube, plus it's not as smart as Google Now on Android TV. The included remote control does come with volume controls, and there's a dedicated headphone jack that enables the private listening feature I mentioned before once you plug in any pair of headphones. You'll also find dedicated gaming buttons, but it's not going to be as close to gaming on an actual controller. Speaking of games, don't expect a vast selection since the Roku ecosystem can draw upon the huge collection found in Google and Apple's app stores. There are a few classics like Snake and some others, but gaming platform, this is not it. It's like the functionality was added as an afterthought. If you happen to misplace a controller, don't get worried. All you have to do is press this button on the player and the remote will start beeping right away, which is awesome. Like the Express, the Ultra can be controlled using your phone, but do note that you'll lose the gaming buttons along with quick access buttons to Netflix, Spotify, Google Play Movies, and TED Talks. This was my first experience testing out two new Roku streaming players, and surprisingly, I've enjoyed watching content on both of them. But I just can't see myself comparing this to my Shield TV that runs Android, which is a lot faster and includes exclusive features that PC enthusiasts can take advantage of. I'll admit the Shield costs $200 for the console itself, and when you add things like the remote and upright stand, it can easily hit $300. I think it wouldn't be fair to compare the Shield to the Ultra because they're both targeted towards two different audiences. Luckily, the Shield happens to provide the same streaming services that Roku offers. The competition is stiff within the market, and Roku is striving to compete directly against alternatives like Apple TV, Amazon's Fire TV, and others. What I can tell you about Roku's Ultra is that it's a fantastic streaming device, especially if you own a 4K TV. However, in Canada, the lack of support for Hulu, HBO Now, Amazon Video, and a few other streaming channels could be disappointing, but I hope Roku can include those in a future update. As for the Roku Express, it's ridiculously good for the price if you ignore the not so great performance compared to the Ultra. Sure, you'll miss the storage expansion, a USB port for local playback, voice assistant, and a few other key features, but I think you'll be just fine for some Netflix and chill sessions. So those have been my thoughts about the new Roku Express and the Roku Ultra streaming players. First of all, what are your thoughts about these new devices, and are they worth picking up for the price? Also, which alternatives should we look at in the future? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm Ibra with Canucks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.